Hello, hi guys. How are you? Hope you are good. And then welcome to my YouTube channel. And then well, also welcome back if you're not new, of course. Otherwise, yeah, hope you're gonna enjoy this video. We're gonna be what is it? I'm gonna be explaining a little bit of functions, not methods actually, right? Where I'll be touching on the functions and subroutines. These are the two kinds of methods, right? Method if I'm pronouncing correctly. So yeah, and unfortunately for this one, I don't have a question paper, I don't have a practicals, I mean a practical. So I'm just gonna be using my mind to create examples that will at least make sense, right? I hope for you guys to understand. And then yeah, um okay, maybe some two pointers before I move on. Right, let me just actually do this one down. I don't mind. Um, what are methods, right? Surely you've already seen in your slides, I hope, that what methods are, right? So you have two types of methods, as I said, my bad. We have functions, right? Where we say functions um return something, right? Returns something. That something can be a string, an integer, a double, a boolean. Um, well, you guys are not doing classes, so you don't have to worry about. But the point is, functions return something, right? Then we have subroutines. Let me just say sub, and then we say these ones they do the work, execute the code, without returning anything. Of course, let me just put it there, without returning anything, right? Um, and by what we mean by this, because technically, even this does return, depending on what you want the code to do, right? But then what we mean when you say this one doesn't return anything, this one returns anything, is that a function you are able to assign it to a variable, right? So you are able to say variable, this is just an example, variable equals to whatever function it is, right? You are able to do this. But if you're subroutine, you can't say you can't assign a subroutine to a variable, right? You can't do this. Variable equals to a sub. This is not doable, guys. Let me put this. You can't assign a subroutine to a variable, but you can assign a function to a variable, whichever variable, as long as the declaration or the definition of the variable is the same as the declaration of the variable. I mean, what did I say? The definition of the function is the same as the declaration of the variable. What I mean is, if this function is expected to return a certain value of integer, the variable that you're assigning it to must be an integer. Otherwise, you're going to have to convert. Obviously, converting responsibly and carefully, so not just doing it for the sake of doing it. But this is a function in a nutshell. We're writing a code inside the function with the expectation of receiving a certain value at the end, right? And then with the subroutine, we are writing a code inside with the expectation of that code being executed and something being done, right? Bear in mind that if you don't return anything, if you just do the code. For what I mean with the subroutine, that means it's possible to just for you to just uh, write the code which doesn't do anything, and then like literally just a useless code. What I mean, I'll show an example of what I mean. But it's possible that you make a mistake of where you just do a code, um, you write the code inside a sub which is useless because after being executed, nothing happens. For example, in sub we usually either you print out, right, console at the right line, you write a subroutine maybe that a subroutine that will do some certain code, blah blah blah, and then at the end there you print out or you write to the console, right? Console at the right line. Then that means your subroutine is expected to write to the console by the end of the function or by the end of the sub, right? By the end of the method. And then um, with functions, the same also. Well, they do tell you. Also, well, maybe not because you guys are using the what is it? What do you call it? The VPL thing. then might be a different story. Because in my case, what I'm gonna be using, it does tell that this is a function, and you're not returning. There's a mistake that you can make. Some of you can make of making a function and then forgetting to return a value at the end. And then since you're using VPL, VPL doesn't necessarily have that error. Well, it does when you run it, but it doesn't tell you straight away. With what I'm going to be using, it does tell that I'm supposed to return something, right, out of the function. And yeah, those are methods in a nutshell. Their usage, obviously, as you've seen in your slides for sure, their usage is to make to reduce redundancy. I hope I said it correctly, or repetition of code in our code, right? To reduce repetition of code in our code, meaning it is very, I'm gonna use this word, I don't want it to be scalable, right? Because let's say when you're repeating a code, you know that if you've done a mistake and then that code it is repeated most of the times in your code, then you're gonna have to change it on multiple lines to make it correct or whatsoever. So with a function, you just take a certain portion, that certain portion of code, put it in a function or a method rather, right? And then we call that method on where that's supposed to go on, right? And then this helps us that when even there's some certain error in our code, we only go to the function and change it there, and then it affects the whole of where that function was called, right? Yeah, that's the good thing about it. So that's enough about talking, because I was talking a lot um, while not writing anything. So let me go ahead. I don't know if I still have this. What is it? I hope I still have the option of doing it. So what again? Visual Basic, music. Yep. What? Oh, okay. Let me change this to this and see what will come out. Console application. This is what I'm gonna do, right? What else is there? Console app, development frameworks. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Let me just take the console application. This is what I'm gonna use to code and to make examples. Blah 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 blah. Right. So this will be functions. Functions. Oh, method, method, functions and subroutine explained, functions and routine is a little difficult with explained. Let me just keep it short, right? Functions and sub explained, and then I'll save this under music.net testing. Oh yeah, that's okay. And then yeah, .NET 9, .NET 9 available. Let's use this one. Wait. Long-term support, standard term support. Let me use this one for now. You guys won't be doing this. This is just for me now, right? So don't worry about what you see on the screen at this point of time now. And then up until when I'm gonna start coding, of course. Yeah, this video is supposed to be short, at least 30 minutes long if possible. I'm already 10 minutes or 8 minutes in. So the longest at least it should be 30 minutes long so I can be able to upload it fast. Why is it taking so long? Damn, that's embarrassing. Okay. There you go. There you go. Right. So you'll see that it's almost similar to the one at VPL, right? What could be different there? Let me just check something quick. What could be different here? Oh yeah, your thing doesn't have this part, right? Which is okay. You don't have to worry about this, but I have it. You don't have it. Don't worry about it, right? Just focus on the coding that I'm gonna be doing here. So this can go. Wait, let me just run this to see if it can work. Um, it's supposed to pop out a command line or what do you call it? Let's see. Supposed to do this here, and then supposed to print hello world. Okay, so that's much. There's something that, wait, what am I forgetting to do now? conversion from string to hello to type enter is not valid. What? Why am I just getting errors? Just the string hello it was not in the correct format. Was not. Well, nowadays the input string was not in the correct format. Does that mean now it's in the correct format? Conversion from string to type integer. Why am I even converted to type integer? What the hell is happening with this thing now? Wait, let me run it again for the last time and see what's happening. Maybe it was just a okay. Clearly, it's not a glitch. Or is it because I'm forgetting something here? Okay, let me do this. Console dot key or something. Key. I think this is the one that gives me the ability to make the code the command line to. Okay, there's definitely something wrong with this. Oh wait, my bad. I removed the command line here, right? Oh guys, sorry about that. Actually, I can be such a dummy at some point. Sometimes I'll be such a dummy. I know. Yes, thank you. Now, okay, like I said on the previous videos, I'm gonna leave this here. I can even comment that. Never mind this part. Oh damn, that's not how we comment using a thing. Never mind this part. Never mind this part. Just to make your life better. So we're gonna focus on here, right? So functions, guys. In your case, in your practical, I saw that you're supposed to create a module of called the whatever, not programmed, already created a program file for you. You're supposed to create a module of product library, right? And then where inside you're gonna have those two functions, right? Not the two methods, I mean to say the invalid code and the what is it, the other one, the unlock product, right? I'm gonna try not to give answers. Obviously, that's the aim. My aim is for you guys to understand. Funny enough, right? I don't know if you guys realize that the code that you are writing most of the times is inside a subroutine, right? Like this one that I'm doing here, right? The code that you write in your program file, right? The one under the main, that main there, it's a subroutine, right? It's a type of a method. I don't know if you guys realize. Hence, in here you usually don't return anything. Well, you don't return anything. Let me say usually you don't return anything. If you realize that it's always it either always end up with, well, most of the time, well, actually it has always ended with the code having to display something to the console, right? It is never a thing of having to return something or do something that is incomplete or something, because it's a subroutine. It's supposed to execute the work, right? And then at the end of the day, bring out something, blah blah blah, and all those things. So that's just one disclaimer that I wanted to point out. Already, the code that you are doing when you are doing when you are in your program file, because in your module, because in your not module, in your product library module class, right? You're not gonna have the sub main. You're just gonna have functions. That's the thing you guys should make sense of. And while I'm that, actually, I think I'll try to create two classes. Let me just do that actually while I'm here, right? What do I mean by that? Let me create a new not project. What do I want to create again? How do I create a new file? Might have forgotten how to do that. Unfortunately, is it here? Dependency program files. I think it's here, and then I think I have to right click, add, and then a new title. Is there a class, a module? Yep. I have to add a module. Let me just say example, right? For example. So I'm gonna create a module called example. It's gonna be something like this, and then for me to make use of this module or to find it in my thing, I'm gonna have to import it on this side. On your case, they said you shouldn't module is in the same project, so no need. So oh yes, so it is not needed, right? Same here actually. Now that I think about it, I don't need to import this example. Why? Simply because we are in the same project. That's what they mean. My files, the files, my two files, the example and the program file are in the same project, right? If you don't understand that on your case, because they're not necessarily showing you the project itself, they're just telling you that the thing are in the same project. This is what they mean. They mean that means there is a certain project, right? And then in that project, there's a project, a program file, and then they are also expecting that product library file, right? Therefore, you don't have to import it there because what they are in the same project. This one, however, system is a library that is outside the thing that is outside my project. Right? So I have to import the systems. I don't know if that makes sense. This is a library, you see, the namespace system. This is outside my project. So I'm importing it so I can get access to what inside here. For me to be able to say console is because of the import system. But then why am I doing that? Because I hope by now you should already know what does the importing do there at the top, right? One other thing that I'm gonna have to include here is the implicit, right? What do you call them again? The option, yeah, right? Option direct on blah 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 option explicit on, and then what do these two already explained on the previous videos for sure. And then option, why is it complaining? Option info. And then I'm gonna have to do this also in that class, guys. This is very important. Why is it complaining again? Wait, why is it complaining again? Should it come? Option we must receive any declaration or input. Okay, so they must come before the inputting, right? Something that I just learned now actually. Or maybe I just didn't take note of. Anyways, they must come here, and also in here you're gonna have to put them. Why? Because in here you're gonna be making use of the um of the data types and stuff like that. So yeah, with this, I'm not gonna do anything in here as of yet because, like I said, I'm gonna do my functions, my methods in here. I'll just think of come up with a scenario right now. Let's say um let's say let's say right, we have a function that calculates um we have a function that calculates the pass mark, right? And then that function, maybe it takes the semester test mark. Actually, a function that calculates the not the not the the final mark, that will take a semester mark along with an exam mark, right? And then we're gonna process whether well, obviously the if statement, if it's left then it's pass, if it's dead then it's pass, and if it's that one then it's what, and then that function um, will return a boolean, right? If it's a pass, then it returns a boolean, and then if it's a fail, then it returns a false boolean, right? And then I'm gonna make a subroutine. Subroutine that will based on the result that it got, right? And then or based on the parameter boolean, I either output um passed or I either output what is it failed. Does that make sense? That's the the process I could think of. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Whew, that's a lot of talking because I'm not prepared for this. Like I'm saying, I don't have any examples, so I'm just thinking out loud. So how this is how we create a function, right, guys? We have what we call a function declaration, and then is it a function declaration and then a function definition, right? The definition I think is the implementation, if I'm not mistaken. Is it? Or the declaration and the definition is the same thing? I'm not sure, but we have what we call the function declaration. That one I know, right? So you give it an I don't know, should we? I think you're supposed to do so, right? Usually on your case they don't do so though. We have what we call modifiers, right? If this is gonna be new to you and you've never been taught about this, I guess never mind what I'm going to be explaining because yeah. What modifiers? So basically we have private, public, protected. Private, that means the thing is only available in that module, and public, that means it can be accessed outside that module, and then protected is for another story. You won't even get to that point. So don't worry about that modifier, right? So we have public, as you can see, it's already pointed out. And then I think I already did explain these things in the previous videos, so when I was doing variables. But then if you didn't pay attention, you cannot pay attention here. Public, that means the function that I'm doing here will be able to be accessed in here, right? If I were to make this private, of which I'll show you guys when it's private, I won't be able to access this in here, right? Because it's only private, it's only accessible inside this module, right? I hope that makes sense. So we have a public, and I'm gonna say function to state that you're gonna be doing a function, right? Then you give it the name. You can say calculate. In my case, I'm gonna calculate final mark, right? Calculate what final mark, right? And then what am I gonna have? This is pub function. Am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something, but we'll see. So it's public function calculate. This is the name of the function, and then it has to return something, a double. Oh no, a boolean, right? So we're gonna say s boolean, right? And then when you say enter, and then you're gonna see the end function for you. You see it's already complaining, the green line there. This green line is to tell me that this function is supposed to return something. That's what I meant that when I was saying that in your case it's not gonna show it because you guys are using VPL, and VPL doesn't have such things. So you see that it tells me that a function is supposed to return something. So it's supposed to return something here. For now, I'm gonna return false, right? For now, this is bound to change once the calculations, once I've coded, just so I can clear that green line error here, right? So it will change because I'm gonna have to create a variable and then return that variable later on. You guys will see. So again, this is the modifier, right? And then this is to state that you are making a function, right? And actually, while I'm on there, actually, just to show you the difference. With a subroutine, it's gonna be something along these lines, right? You're still gonna put the modifier again, public, right? And you're gonna say sub to mention that it's a subroutine, and then the name, say status, make provide what is it? What could I name it? Generate status, something along the generate status, right? Generate, my bad, generate status. And then here, and then it doesn't have the s. As you can see here, it doesn't even what is it, suggest the s part, because subroutine is not supposed to return anything, right? And then when you say enter, then it does the end sub for you. So yes, guys, this is a subroutine, and then as you can see, it's not complaining because there's nothing that's expected to be returned out of here, out of this method, right? So, and then this one, I had to return something because it is expecting to return a boolean thingy. Hence, I'm returning false. I can't return 5 here because 5 is an integer, or 25 in this case, or 2. It's an integer, it's not a boolean. So what you're returning here versus what you declared as your function as must match. I hope that is clear, right? So I said here I'm gonna make it a thing. So I'm gonna come here now. Like I said, I'm creating a function which calculates the final mark, which will take the semester mark, and which is something that I forget to pass the parameters here. We have what we call parameters, right? This is a modifier, a function to state that is a function or method type, and then the name of the function, and then the return type here, right? And then in here, this is where we pass parameter, right? In your case, I don't usually give them this key of same by value, right? You don't have to worry about this. I saw that you can just straight away and say let's say C mark as an integer. I saw that you don't have to say by val or something like that. Remove unused parameter, right? And then I'm gonna be taking 2 parameters: the semester mark. Let me actually set that here, C mark, and also the exam mark, right? Remember, I'm calculating what the final mark, right? Exam mark as an integer, right? Usually it be double, I think, because and then you can get it's a percentage, right? It's a percentage. Basically, what I'm gonna be doing is just I'm gonna be passing this semester marks either as if I'm passing them the semester mark out of 100%, that means I'm gonna have to divide them by 2, both these things. But then if I'm passing them out of 50%, that means I'm just gonna have to add what I'm getting here and add what I'm getting here to get the final mark, right? Yeah. So this is what I'm gonna do, and I feel like it's not gonna make sense because um now that I think about it, right? Less than 50 is not necessarily a fail because 40 to 49 it's a what is it? What do you call it again? It's a what do you call it? It's sub. It's a sub, right? Wait, damn, it is a sub. You're gonna be writing a sub. Yes, yes, yes. And then is it a sub? I'm not sure. I forgot that way. And then if it's above 50, then it's a pass, right? So returning a boolean doesn't necessarily help a lot. I know. Because now I'm just like what I'm going to do now is just um yeah, returning a boolean doesn't do justice, right? Because there's that sub thing which is between uh 40 and 49, as I said. So I'm starting to think, should I just disregard the this? I think I'm just gonna disregard the sub thing and then just continue with the fact that if it's less than 50, it's a fail, and then if it's above 50, then it's a pass, right? That's what matters the most at this point. Let me just go ahead with that. The idea here is to show you guys how these things are done, not to be precise about what I'm doing here, right? So I have one parameter and two parameter, semester mark and exam mark, and they are both what as integers. It could be a double though. You just have to make sure that because mind you, this plus oh yeah, the value that you add here plus the value that you add here, they should if you're taking them taking them out of 100%, then they shouldn't be the value that you get here and get here shouldn't be above 200. And if you're taking them out of 50%, then the value that you get here plus here shouldn't be above 100%, right? Um, just so we yeah, okay. Um, okay, so what now? What now? I have my two parameters, my semester mark, my exam mark, right? And then I'm taking them as integers, right? And then I'm gonna create. Remember what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to return a boolean, right? There's two ways that you can do this, guys. Two ways. I'm gonna show you two ways on how to do this, right? Two ways. Another way is to do this, right? Um, is to declare obviously a local variable, right? Say local variable and say final or status. What is it? Man, I don't know. Because I can even say if semester mark without having to do the calculation explicitly. I can do it implicitly, right? That will be some shortcut there. So let me just say here status equals to s, not equals to s, status as boolean, right? I can initiate it to false for now. False. This is declaration, right? This is initiation. You are initiating the status to false for now, right? Let me comment this for now because I'm gonna show you two ways on how to approach this, right? So here's how it's gonna go, right? I'm gonna say if how do you do an if statement again? Is it if semester mark plus exam mark um I'm gonna have to put brackets here to show that I want this equals to no actually is greater or equals to 50, right? Then right if semester mark plus semester mark plus exam, so here that means I'm gonna be using out of 50, not out of 100, right? So if semester mark plus exam mark is greater than this, then return. Oh no, actually, because I'm using that one, then status equals to true, right? Else status equals to false. I mean, I don't even say status equals to false because already this declared initiated as false there. If I'm being honest, status equals to false, right? And then here, what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna say return. This is what another way that I wanted to show you guys that it can be done. And then you can say return status, right? And then something like this, right? I don't know why it's complaining here. Why unnecessary assignment of value status? Well, it says unnecessary. That means I also don't have to do this here, right? And that's okay. Anyways, so you can see what I'm basically saying here is that if the semester mark plus exam mark is greater or equals to 50, then return true. And between that means it's passed. All right, there's a pass. And then else, if status is equals to, I mean, else, that means if it's not greater or equals to, that means it's less, then it's a fail. It's the same as that. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm assigning the true to the status. Here I'm assigning the false to the status, depending on the condition of false. And then here I am returning the status. This is another way to go about creating a function like this one, right? Or otherwise, what we usually do at some point is that I'm going to show you an alternative. Instead of having to assign, sometimes you just straight away and say return true without having to say assignment and blah blah blah. This also works, by the way, right? And then here you say return false. So, and then you eliminate this one. This also works perfectly, right? And it's a shortcut instead of having to declare variables, blah blah blah, and all these things. So if semester mark plus exam is greater or equals to 50, return what? True. Then it's gonna return true, right? It's not gonna continue coding. I mean going down. And then else if that means this is not true, then it returns false. And you can see it is not complaining at all because there's nothing that is being done wrong here, right? So I just showed you two ways that you can go about it. By having to create a local variable and then returning it at the end after you've done or you gave it information based on whatever that you're working on, right? Or you just straight away return that thing when it's that way, when it is supposed to be that way. I don't know if it makes sense. So these are two. Usually, this is what you use it when the code is not when you don't have to code a lot, right? Like what I'm doing here. There's nothing much happening here. But then if it had to involve things like calculation of semester mark, test, and all those things, having to convert, blah blah blah. Obviously, I wouldn't be making use of this return here, right? Maybe I'm not sure, but anyways, so this is a function, guys. I don't know if you guys understood what I was doing here, right? The key pointers is the identifier, the function to state that you're doing a function, the name of the function, the parameters depending on what they say, how many parameters you must have, and how you should name them. Sometimes we just do that, and also declare as what those parameters, because you can also use double here. The same way you declare variables, you can also use data types there as parameters, right? What did I do now? And then yeah, and also the return type, return as a boolean, right? And then you have to make sure that inside your function there's somewhere where you are returning as a boolean, and they have to match. That's very important also. But yeah, and then with the subroutine, guys, it's very easy, like very easy. You don't even have to pass. What is it? The thing here. Oh, you have to. You have to. You have to. You have to. So who won again? Okay, yeah. Let me focus. So yeah. Anyways, let me focus. So with this one, guys, it's quite easy, right? So I'm gonna accept a boolean here. I'm gonna accept a boolean. Why? Because remember, I'm making use of this function. So based on whatever this function returns, I want to use that whatever it returns to either print out pass or print out fail, right? So and I know this function returns a boolean. That means here I'm gonna pass in a boolean. A parameter which is of a type boolean, right? Oh, I'm supposed to give it a name here. What is it? Let me just say something. I don't know what to say, guys. VS boolean, right? Yeah, something along these lines. This is my parameter. The idea is this this method of subroutine will accept a parameter of type boolean, right? And then using this whatsoever that parameter that I'm getting the same way that I use this semester marking example to code inside the function, I'm also gonna do the same here, but here it's gonna be different. I'm gonna say if v, right, then console dot print out that right line. What am I saying? You have passed, right? Oh, you're the one. Wait, what's happening? Oh, then we did go to. My bad, guys. My bad. Anyway, and then else, right? What do you do? You console the. I gotta remember that initially. I hope you guys know that unless you assign a boolean variable, unless you assign it a different value, right? Initially or already by nature, it is true. It is initiated as true, right? What I mean is that here I'm saying v as a boolean. In order to change this, because this already initially by itself, it's already true. Because you can see I'm saying if v. I'm not saying if v is equals to true, because already this means if v is true, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Unless you're gonna say v is equals to false, then therefore that means if v is false here, right? Then that will be switching the value of v inside. But in this case, v is a boolean. That means that means that means if v is true, then you have passed. Otherwise, you have failed, right? You have failed. Yeah, I just realized that I've been a while since I explained a lot. You have failed, unfortunately. Okay, this moment. Please, anyways, yeah, let's focus. So, yeah, anyways. What was I saying? Yes, right. So basically, if it's true, that means the mark was greater than 50, and then you have passed. And if it's less, then you have failed. Simple as that, right? And then obviously you can't get to use the functions in here because this here is where you made the functions. These functions will be of usage in the program file. And you saw that you already they have coded out the program file for you, so you don't have to worry about it. I don't know if they said you should copy and paste the code, or you don't even have to worry about copy and paste. You just have to do the product library alone, and then you'll be okay, right? But then on my case, obviously I'm gonna have to do some things. So it's gonna be what is it again? Dim sim mark semester mark, right? Because I'm supposed to get these values from the console as an integer, by the way, because I'm just taking them as an integer. And then I'm gonna also just declare exam mark as an integer. And you can even say equals to 0 to initiate them to 0. There's nothing wrong with that since they're complaining by giving me the green line. And then what I'm gonna do here is you can say console.line, just be user friendly a bit. Console.dry line, yes, not right, but dry line. And then what am I gonna say? Enter your semester mark. Enter semester mark, right? That should be okay, right? And then here you're gonna say console for the read line. For read line, I'm supposed to assign it something because what is it? Yeah, this is an example of a function, guys. Actually, now that I think about it, the read line here, as you can see, it reads the function, it reads the next line of characters from the standard input stream, and then it returns the next line of characters from the input stream or null if normal lines are available. You can see, right? So this is what it's a function, And I'm using this function to read from the console. And then after that, what I'm going to have to do is cast it to int, right? My bad. And then just gonna copy this thing and then repeat it twice, just for convenience sake. What did I do now? And then enter your exam mark. Let me just be a bit more sincere. Yeah, semester mark, right? Exam mark. Enter your semester mark, enter your exam mark, and then blah blah blah, and then this will be exam obviously. And then after that, we call a function, right? Here's the thing: you're gonna say either you're gonna just straight pass the function into the generate thing, or you actually just make a variable like dim. There are two ways that you can do this. Just that the other way is the shortcut instead of having to do a lot of lines, right? A lot of lines, obviously. So here I'm gonna say get status, right? Is it get status? Let me just say get status, right? Get status, and then I say equals to, right? Oh, get status is boolean. I mean to say that's as boolean. Wait, what's happening? Why am I this bad? As boolean. Then here's the fun part. I choose to assign it straight away to that function instead of having to just to say get status as boolean and then after gonna say get status equals to. So immediately after the declaration, I'm assigning to that function. That function we said it's calculate. You see, I'm able to access it. That's the use of a public function or public modify. If I were to make this private, right, then I wouldn't why property why then I wouldn't be able to access this. I shouldn't be able to access it actually. Right? It should give me an error. You see, not even an error. I shouldn't find that function. But if I go and say generate not status, not generate status, you see I'm able to find this function because this one is public, right? Generate status is this one is this function over here, right? So yeah, that's the use of a modifier there. But like I said, in your case, I don't think you guys should worry about modifiers because it seems as though you're not using them a lot. You're just declaring J, blah blah blah. You just start by the function and then you continue, and then you just start by the sub and then you continue the rest. So it seems like you don't have to worry about it. But here, calculate final mark, and I'm gonna pass the semester mark as an argument and then exam mark as an argument also, right? So this will return what? This will return a boolean value, right? And then that value that it returns, I'm saving it into a variable. This is very important. This is why a function we say it returns a value. That value we assign it somewhere. Because if you don't assign it somewhere, it's gonna act as a subroutine, but then that value doesn't it goes nowhere, right? Basically it just end up in the air, in the space, right? So with the statement that I'm getting here, I'm gonna do something. Remember, I don't have to say system dot what other cause already the console, because already the subroutine is doing that. So all that I have to do here is to say generate status, and then inside I pass get status. And notice how I don't have to assign this to anything because it's a subroutine, guys. It is a subroutine. Subroutine you don't have to assign to anything. You just call it as it is, and then supposed to generate, do the work for you that is inside, obviously, and then you're done, basically, right? So technically, this should execute without any issues. I hope. Or it's supposed to. Let's see, 44. That's even a long than anticipated. But anyway, let's just see if it's gonna give an error. It will be not a miracle, but it's very rare to just write a code without an error popping up. So mind you, I'm gonna be using what is it, the integers here, and I'm gonna be using 50 out of 50%. So it's technically I already converted, right? So here I just need to punch the semester mark that you got out of 50%. Usually some of you get 60, 70, 80, 85 upwards. It's rare, very rare, but it's not impossible, but it's It's not that likely to happen to most of you. So, because you're not giving it that a lot of attention and effort and need for you to get there. That's what I mean. But anyway, so I'm gonna use 80%, 85%, 85% divided by two. It's how much is it? 40. It's 42.5, right? But then I'm taking in integers, so I'm just gonna say 42, right? Enter, and then exam. In your exam is usually easy because it's is it is it programming? Is your exam practical or is it a theoretical now? Okay, I forgot. But exam is usually easy, right? And the semester mark, because the semester mark you have the semester test too, which most people fear. So yeah, you have that. So exam, let's just say you got how much? 7%, 7% will be 285, right? And then you have passed. Because obviously, I mean, these values, you add them together, this is about 50. Wait, oh yeah, it's about 50. But then, let's say it's 50, oh wait, oh yeah, because it can only be done once. Right, then after that, then it's done for. Let me just do this again. This time, let me input 25, 25, supposed to be passed again. And then it's done. And then let me run it again. This time with 25 and 24. And then let's see if it's going to say you failed. And then 25, enter 24, and then you have failed, right? And then there you go, there you have it. That's basically how functions are used, right? I mean, a method. The other one is the returns a value. The other one is just does the work for you. And I feel like on your practical, they're basically saying you create a function. In that function, it takes one parameter. Okay, two parameters, right? One is a string. The first parameter is a string, and then the second one is an integer. What you guys told me is that the string, you can say, because I'm guessing by this point, if you're already doing for loops, then I mean functions, that means you already did for loops, right? And one thing about a string, you can say string to array. I'm also guessing you've already done arrays, I hope. If not, then it's a differentiating. Because I don't believe you can loop a string. When you loop a string, I don't know if it's possible or not, but if it's possible, you guys will tell it. But what I'm saying, Gore, what I mean is this, right? Maybe let me just show it practically. Um, if I were to say dim name as string equals to, and I give it, let's say tops, right? Let's say top. And then something that you guys don't realize is that in the name, this thing string, it gives you a lot of capability. If you were to say name dot, well, oh yeah, again because you're using VPL, maybe you can't get experience what I'm doing here. But then if you say name dot, you see that you're able to see functions, right? Functions that you can do here. We have dot charts. I don't know what is this to get the charts object as a specified position in the correct. Anyway, and then we have the clone, the compare to concatenate, count, blah blah blah. The important one that will be of use to your practical, right? It might be this one. It might be this one. Now I'm already getting out of road for you guys. It will be under the two something, right? Because you're converting the thing to char, wait, to array, right? So if you guys already did arrays, this shouldn't be a surprising thing for you, right? Because this gives you ability to loop through the array, right? So here's the thing. If you say this, you're gonna have to have brackets here. And then this returns an array, right? An array that contains the elements from the input sequence. And an array of what? An array as char, wait, what to array as char? So it returns, what is it? If you were to do this, if you were to say string, let's see if it's gonna allow me. It's not gonna allow it, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to create an array of char. Let me see if it's doable, guys. Now I'm just going to do this now. Char array SAR and then equals to, is it working? Not working. Is it char? Is it supposed to be char here? Char is a character type and cannot be used as an expression. Um. Oh, I think I'm supposed to say RS. Ish. Yeah. Ish. Yeah. Yeah. My bad, guys. I'm confusing these things because I forgot that I'm using Visual Basic here. So it's supposed to be dim char whatsoever, right? S char, and then equals to that. And then an array that contains one value char cannot be converted to char. Okay, that means it can't recognize this. Or is it because it's supposed to be this? Maybe. Okay, it is accepting that, right? Oh, this is how you do an array in Visual Basic. Let me see something. Let me see something. Let me see something quick. Let me put square brackets here. Okay, it doesn't recognize square brackets. So this is how you do an array in what is not really is an array in Python. Okay, yeah, because it's already a thing. Let me say R, that's what I used before, right? Yeah, so this is how you gotta go about it, right? Basically, you're taking the string that you're getting from the function as a parameter, you're converting it to an array of chars. This gives you ability to go through each character, right? And then with this being done, you know with array you can get array.length. That means if you can get that means you can loop from 0 to array.length, right? -1 obviously, because is it -1 or is it no array.length to array.length, yes. Wait, is it -1 or is it supposed to, yeah, it's supposed to be -1, I think. You're gonna have to do that. So it's gonna be something along the lines of for um um I as int integer. Is it integer? And then equals to 0 to array dot length -1. Why -1? Because we don't want to reach the last value because we're starting from 0 if I still remember correctly. Unless I'm gonna also have to include the array dot length value. I'm not sure. But then if you say here and then you say R and then into bracket into I, that will give you the ability to access, is it brackets or is it the brackets? I'm not sure anymore. That will give you the ability to access each and every value inside this array. Remember, but what this basically does here, it's basically taking this string over here and breaking it down into this format. I hope I'm gonna make sense. So basically, this now you're gonna be having T as a character and then comma, right? It's an array, right? H as a character. This is what it does. So it gives you the ability to access each and every character in the string, right? I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. And then like this, right? So this is what is going to be in the array now. And then when you're doing this, this will give you the ability to accessing these characters individually. Remember, your work is to see if that character you're accessing is an integer. If it's not an integer, you just don't care about it. That's what they said, right? The function returns the value, the true if the product is invalid, otherwise false. And then they said something about uh, all characters in the product key which do not represent the numerical digits are ignored. So how do you do that? I mean, okay, how are you gonna do that then to checking if the character is a type of integer? Um, I mean, yeah, I didn't know about this one. Let me see something. If, because obviously you're gonna involve if, right? I feel like you're gonna have to cast here, and then you're gonna have to cast. Let me say dim new v for new value as integer because you're gonna have to save it somewhere, right? And then equals to 0. So each and every time I'm gonna be dot. And then I'm guessing here outside you're gonna have a total or something, right? Total dim total. Now I'm just telling you guys answers, I think, at this point. But at least I'm not making it nicer. I'm not making this thing nicer. So maybe I don't know. Let me see this one. If because I'm supposed to convert the what I'm getting to whatsoever. So I'm gonna say new v equals to c int and then inside I put array r into, let me see if it's gonna, into I, or is it gonna, okay, I think it's gonna need square brackets for this one. Square brackets, right? Let's see if it's gonna work with the square brackets. Okay, it's not working. Wait, integer cannot be converted to an integer. Um, doesn't make sense because okay, how is this gonna go? Interesting. How is this gonna go now? How is this gonna go? Can it be converted to an integer? I don't know why. That value cannot be converted to an integer. Use Microsoft order to interpret the character Unicode to interpret it as a digit. Ooh, that's very interesting, but that's not what we're doing, right? So in the issue about my case, guys, is this, right? This it's okay, Mara. Even in your case, it won't all be values. That's the thing. So it's gonna be a string, and based on what I see, there's also they can also input dashes there. So it doesn't you can't convert the array to an integer array, right? If I'm not mistaken. Let me just check again to see what the expected output. When they're outputting in 4571 is incorrect. So when it's 123 dash 000 dash, they're disregarding the dashes because they're not numerical. And then, okay, how am I gonna do this now? This is very interesting, and this is going beyond what I signed up for because now I'm trying to explain the practical. Let me just make it 1 hour for the sake of it. Um, if I okay, let me use. There's also explicit. Can I use this one? Can I use this one? Um, I don't know if it's supposed to be brackets or like this anymore. I'm confused as a human being. Okay, so I don't think it's supposed to be brackets. Is it? Oh, this doesn't have to be here. It's okay. End of statement. Okay. So this is not the issue. Okay, let me remove this for now and see if, okay. So let's say integer dot passive. Oh, someone is calling me. Okay, guys, let me be busy over here. Let me be busy. Actually, for here, I think I'm just gonna end it here, Shane. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm just gonna end it here. But if you guys have any questions, do let me know so I can explain maybe the practical in private once I've figured it out. For now, I don't have anything what's happening here. Thank you.